Offices. You work in them, you sleep in them, and most people would agree that they're the most boring places on earth. Yep. Five Nights at Freddy's is known for taking place in numerous offices. Some are classics, some are nostalgic, but some are just terrible. And after 11 years, we've gotten a bunch of these offices across numerous releases. So I decided to do something stupid. I tracked down every single main office in the franchise, from the classic security offices to the VR vents and even the stuff from the new releases, adding up to 33 offices. I'll be ranking them on two things: their design and the gameplay. They can't look too bland, and it has to have some sort of horror, and the gameplay has to fit the mechanics. I'll be rating them on a score of 10 to see which ones were peak and which ones were just garbage. Starting off with number 33, the Security Breach Prize Counter Office. Most of the bottom ones are from Security Breach. Security Breach is a free roam game and it doesn't have a main office, but there are numerous security rooms you find during the game that have one or two items with barely any gameplay. This one is different, however. You go into this room near the start of the game. The office doesn't have an important item, it's just a security badge. And unlike most offices in Security Breach, there is gameplay in this, but it is just terrible. Monty and Roxy run around the square room and you're required to close the doors that have limited power, but all you have to do is stall until the timer runs out. This has basic design and terrible gameplay. This is straight up trash, man. Another Security Breach one. This is the first office you see in the game. You come across it during the first chase section, and that's it. I mean, you never enter this office again, let alone enter this entire goddamn area. You get a monologue from Freddy and the cameras for your watch. Whoa, that was a weird voice crack. But if you actually use the cameras on SB, you've got different problems, man. I assume you're supposed to feel scared that Monty's banging on the door and your power is running out, but we all know Steel Wool wouldn't go that far. Boring and boring. Trash. Once again, an office in Security Breach that holds one collectible and you'll never return to again. Yeah! First off, why does the laser tag area even have a security office if the guard doesn't have to do anything? But anyways, after a thrilling game of laser tag with Shoddy chasing me, you access the security office where you get another security level and a Bonnie Bowl pass. Boring. I swear we're gonna get through the bad ones eventually, but Security Breach is really making this difficult. Yet again, we have another security office that looks important but offers absolutely nothing to the actual game loop. This office sits right above the Fastcade dance floor, and I'll admit, the location is kind of a vibe. You have the neon lights, the music pumping, and a perfect view of the DJ. But why did we come here? You go here once the entire game to repair your head. Pause. But yeah, you go here once to fix the staff bot head so you can drive the go-kart. I guess technically the scene leads directly into the DJ Music Man chase, which is arguably one of the most redeemable qualities in the entire game. But we have to look at the office itself. Is it a place you defend? No. Is it a place where you manage resources? No. You press a button on a machine, wait for an animation to finish, and run for your life. It's not a security office, it's a trigger for a cutscene yet again. Once the DJ starts moving, you never look back at this room again. It serves its purpose for the story, but as a ranking entry, it's hollow. Finally, one that isn't Security Breach. There are 4 main levels here, technically 8 if you count the hard mode versions, and honestly, they're okay. The gameplay loop is actually pretty solid. It's a high-stake game of operation. You have to follow instructions perfectly, and if you mess up, you get a jump scare quite literally in your face. It's simple but effective. Even though you're doing exactly the same thing every time, having Freddy Fazbear stare directly into your soul keeps you on edge the entire time. But we have to talk about the design, because it's kind of really bad. It's a pitch black room with a single light bulb above you and a table. That's it. It feels less like a workshop and more like a hostage video. Chica is literally the only one who gets a full room with actual cockroaches and shelves. Everyone else is just floating in the abyss apparently. If they had just modeled the actual FNAF 1 parts and service room, the one in the death screen, this would have been way higher on the list. But because I'm staring at darkness for 90% of the level, it drops down. I don't even want to talk about this level. The room is cool, don't get me wrong, but you barely see it because you're so paranoid about saving the flashlight battery. You spend the entire level sitting in absolute darkness, terrified to click the trigger because the battery drains in about 10 seconds. It forces you to strobe the light like a broken disco ball instead of actually looking at the environment. And don't even get me started with the gameplay. Yeah, so I felt like if I didn't add any Secret the Mimic offices, everyone would point it out. So I just picked the one where you kept going back into during the game because there are no other offices. No gameplay, cool design though. I like it when the VR installations recreate the flat screens locations, like this one. We spent a lot of time running past this salon in Security Breach, but actually standing inside it in VR makes you feel so much more immersed into this universe. It also explains the lore of why Roxy looks so different in Ruin. For months, people were theorizing about battle damages or prototype shells, but nope. It turns out it was just a beauty mask. But what saves this level is the gameplay. It starts as a simple makeup tutorial, but then Glitchtrap makes an appearance and decides to make your life miserable. He starts corrupting the computer, forcing you to constantly look away from Roxy to reboot the system. So you're juggling the timer, Glitchtrap is hacking your PC, and an angry Roxy who moves every time you blink. It's a total mess, but it's a fun one at least. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played this level, but from what I've seen, doesn't look too bad. Like I said, I really like it when the VR games make the locations from the regular games, something you'll see later. It's the Security Breach Endo warehouse, and I think it's the perfect location for this minigame to take place. This location in Security Breach was really mysterious. This random kid's play place in the Endo warehouse? What? But Help Wanted 2 actually uses that weird detail. You're training the Endos in a classroom setting. It takes a confusing map asset and turns it into a functional part of the lore. It connects two games perfectly. This is essentially the parts and service levels from the first game, but with actual effort put into the environment this time. Help Wanted 1 was all about that stripped back, eerie vibe where you're basically sitting in a void. Help Wanted 2 flips the script. Everything is colorful, saturated, and actually looks like a functional freezer room. However, it suffers the same problem all these repair levels have. The gameplay is just listening to orders and executing them. Once you've done it, it gets incredibly stale. There is no randomness, no real strategy, just follow the checklist or fucking die. It's a decent enough experience for the first time because of the atmosphere, but it doesn't have much staying power once the initial tension wears off. Design-wise, this one's actually decent. They went with a much larger scale than usual offices, which makes it feel like a legitimate backstage security hub. Interestingly, there was originally supposed to be an entire backstage area that connected directly into this office, but it got cut last minute. It's a shame though, because it would have added a lot of depth, but for what we got, not bad. Now the gameplay is surprisingly good for a Security Breach office. You have to shock the animatronics banging on the door while simultaneously calling Freddy for help. The only real issue here is that it's too easy. I wish they made it more chaotic by throwing in more animatronics at you. If it forced you to juggle 3 or 4 more threats instead of 2, this would have easily cracked the top 20. It's a good foundation, it just needed more. It's cramped, it's dark, and it forces you to reach deep into these vents where the animatronics are literally crawling towards your face. Thrilling. It's objectively terrifying in VR. It captures that raw horror vibe perfectly, but outside of that initial fear factor once again, the environment doesn't have much going for it. It's just vents. This is essentially parts and service, but done right this time. While parts and service feels like a rigged game of operation, vent repair adds layers of mechanical puzzles and timing. It's still a follow the instructions loop, but the mechanics feel much more polished and the stakes feel higher this time because the threat is literally moving towards you in real time. It's stressful, it's high energy, and it actually uses the VR space to make you feel vulnerable. It's just a solid, well-executed horror gauntlet. I will always have a soft spot for the FNAF 4 bedroom. It's easily one of the most intense and threatening locations in the entire franchise. But this level takes that tension and makes it personal by shoving you inside the bedroom closet. It's a genius move, taking that one place you normally look at for safety and turning it into your own little cage. The scale here is the real star. Being trapped in a confined space while an 8-foot tall metal clown stares you down is terrifying. It's one of the few moments that actually puts into perspective just how massive Baby is compared to a human. The addition of the plush babies is a smart way to keep you busy, but let's be for real, all you're doing is opening and closing a closet door. That's the entire loop. It has the mechanics of a top tier horror game, but the actual mechanics are just kinda there. It's not particularly deep or strategic, which is kind of a big shame. I've always had a weird relationship with the sister location aesthetic. I was never a fan of the whole sterile sci-fi blue theme. It's not that I hated it, but compared to the grimy greenish yellow palette of FNAF 3 that worked so well, this just felt a bit off. The design is fine, it's a cramped high-tech bunker that works for what it needs to be, but it's a bit lackluster compared to the other main offices. Scott took a gamble with this one and it turned out okay. But the gameplay? Holy Holy shit. This might be the actual worst gameplay in the entire mainline series. Yeah, I said it. It beats out FNAF 6 for the title of most annoying loop. Whether you're doing the Ennard boss fight or the custom night DLC, it's just a mess of mechanics that aren't actually fun to manage. The power drain feels absolutely brutal, the vent tracking is inconsistent, and it feels like the game is fighting you rather than challenging you. It's not a test of skill, it's a test of goddamn patience at this point. In a game where everything is heavily scripted and cinematic, this attempt at a classic FNAF office style just falls flat because the gameplay is completely broken. The design for this level is elite. Like I've said before, the Fastcade is on a completely different level of art direction. That neon, retro, 80s synthwave aesthetic is something I love in any media, and seeing it fully realized in VR is peak. But the real star is the DJ himself. Having this massive, multi-limbed creature looming over you is actually insane. When he fully leans in towards the booth, filling your entire vision with that uncanny mask, it's easily one of the most intimidating moments in the game. But then we have to actually play the game. And I'm gonna be honest, I really wanted to love this level, and this might just be a personal thing, but I cannot stand memory games. It's essentially Simon Says but with higher stakes. You're memorizing patterns on a DJ desk while he just starts bumping that shit. You're so focused on remembering which buttons lit up that you stop being scared of the giant animatronic spider in front of you. It's a case of an incredible environment being held by a gameplay loop that just isn't as engaging. Normally, this would be buried at the bottom with all those other useless security breach rooms we've already ranked, but this one's actually kinda good. It's a messy industrial kitchen office that feels lived in, but the real surprise here is that it actually has a full-on game mode. Instead of grabbing a badge and dipping, you're forced to stay in this room to make a pizza to distract Chica. Yeah, I know, security breach is a weird game. The pressure is real. You've got hand unit barking orders at you, the door power is constantly ticking down, and you can hear Chica losing her mind right outside the glass. It's one of the few times security breach actually manages to capture that classic FNAF trapped in a box panic. For a game that's usually just a walking simulator, this was a nice breath of fresh air. This is easily the most FNAF moment in the entire game. For a few minutes, the free roam chaos stops, and you're back to the basics, sitting in a room, watching monitors, and fighting for your life. The gameplay is simple, but it works. You're pushing buttons to burn Afton on whichever screen he pops up on, and hey, the actual functioning doors are back. They even managed to give the animatronics some actual mechanical depth here. Roxy and the others feel like a genuine threat you have to manage. But let's look at the big picture here. The fact that this final boss is on par with the goddamn motherfucking pizza office we just talked about tells you everything you need to know. The build-up was great, and Tangle or the blob mechanic is a bit annoying, but it adds to the pressure. Then you have Freddy, which is unexpectedly broken, and of course, in true security breach fashion, you can actually die during the final ending cutscene. Because of course, they really could have made this a top 5 area. Everyone including me loves FNAF free roam fan games. This had the perfect setup, man.
Wait, are you not subscribed? Subscribe now, okay?
I'm being fucking generous with the ratings here. Seriously, this was so close to being buried at the bottom of the list, but after playing it back, not quite as bad as I remember. On paper, I love the idea of your shift ending once you complete all your tasks on the computer. It gives you a clear goal and a sense of progression. But then you look at the actual defense mechanics, or the lack of them. You have animatronics coming at you from 2 open vents. No doors, no lights, no nothing. Your only defense is an audio tab and a motion sensor tab that feels completely useless half the time because the audio tab does it for you. You're sitting there in a silent room, staring at a loading bar, just praying that Lefty isn't about to kill you. The one saving grace here is the temperature mechanic. Managing the heat while trying to keep the noise down adds a level of strategy that actually makes you think. It turns the level into a high stakes balancing act that all FNAF games need. The design for this level is kind of a mixed bag. Similar to the plush baby level, you spend a significant amount of time sitting in the dark, surrounded by the carousel. While the darkness isn't as oppressive or punishing as it was in those levels, it still limits how much you can actually appreciate the environment for most of the run. However, the design does pick up significantly when the ride eventually catches fire. The shift in lighting and the added chaos of the flames makes the room much more visually interesting towards the end. You're forced to manage the mechanical repairs of the carousel while simultaneously tracking Whoa. That's a hard sentence. You're forced to manage the mechanical repairs of the carousel while simultaneously tracking Moon's position. Having your light on Moon to keep him at bay while trying to stay on top of the maintenance creates a great rhythm. It's a high pressure multitasking loop that feels much more engaging than just sitting and waiting for a timer to end. It's a great gameplay held back by a somewhat mid-dark design. You know, this is really making me realize how much VR carries the environmental design of the franchise. If this was a flat screen minigame, it would be forgettable. But in VR, the atmosphere is top tier. The setting is a stylized, spooky house front, and the scale of the animatronics moving around in the shadows of the porch is genuinely unsettling. You're forced to look out through a door peephole to see who's standing on the other side, which creates a natural physical tension that works perfectly for the hardware. The gameplay is straightforward. You have to identify which animatronic is at the door, put the correct mask on to trick or treat them. It sounds simple, and it is, but it fits the theme so well that it doesn't matter. The stakes feel real when you open that door. It's a perfect example of a mechanic that is built specifically for the environment it's in. It's cohesive, it's spooky, and it works, baby. The daycare has always been one of the strongest visual areas in the franchise, but it felt massively underutilized in Security Breach. It's incredibly colorful and saturated, capturing that chaotic preschool energy perfectly. Being able to see the scale of the play structures and the art station up close makes it one of the most visually polished environments in the game. The gameplay is also surprisingly solid. On the surface, it's a simple coloring activity, something that should be relaxing, but the constant pressure of Sun watching your work changes the vibe entirely. And I don't know if it's just me, but the characters designed for Sun and Moon are genuinely unsettling to look at, not just in VR, but in the flat screen game as well. It's a perfect construct between a childish task and a high-stakes horror encounter. This might be a personal preference, but I really like the arcade aesthetic. The neon lights and the cabinet designs are on point. It captures the high-energy local arcade vibe perfectly, which is something these games usually do well. On paper, Bonkabon is just a basic game of whack-a-mole, but the mechanics actually make it interesting. You aren't just mindly whacking targets, you have to watch out for helpies that subtract points and plush babies that give you extra points. It turns it into a fast-paced reflex test that is actually fun to play. It's a simple loop, but it's addictive. In terms of the game itself, it's a solid experience. But you'll look dumb as hell doing this. This has everything you'd want in a factory setting. Conveyor belts bringing in mangled animatronic parts while you scramble to assemble them. It's dark, it's stingy, and it has a gritty horror vibe that a lot of recent entries lack. However, the lighting is exactly why it isn't a 10. It's a bit too dark. While that works for the horror, it makes the room less interesting to look at over time. This is proven by its appearance in Security Breach as well. This game is in Security Breach, and if you look at it, it looks so much different from everything else in the game. The gameplay is where the intensity picks up. It's a fast-paced assembly line where you have to match parts under a strict time limit while Mango looms over the conveyor. It's stressful, mechanical, and requires genuine focus. It takes the repair trope and gives it a frantic energy that keeps the level from feeling like a chore. FNAF is surprisingly good at taking simple concepts and making them actually engaging, and this is a perfect example. But they added enough depth here to make it stand out. The gameplay is solid. You have a point system, a variety of throwable objects to juggle, and of course, more plush babies to hunt down. It turns a standard gallery shooter into a high score chase that feels fun to play in VR. It's responsive and genuinely fun to play through multiple times. Then there's the design. It has this really cool old school retro vibe, but the highlight is definitely the theme. And Dreadbear? Hey man, what are you doing here? This might be breaking a few rules here because this is technically just VR FNAF 6, but the gameplay loop is different and cool. It's a clinical small-scale medical room that feels appropriately cramped for a VR space. It lacks the scale of bigger offices, but it works for the task at hand. It captures the core tension of the original FNAF 6 by forcing you to be quiet to avoid the animatronics in the vents, but it adds a physical layer to it. You aren't just clicking a monitor, you are manually operating on Helpy while trying not to make too much noise with your tools. It feels high pressure and nerve-wracking while I'm fucking sawing this whiny motherfucker's leg. I'm fine. Low-key, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I really like the green FNAF 3 look. It has this grimy, decaying aesthetic that fits the Fazbear Fries theme perfectly. I think FNAF 3 gets overhated for no reason. Someone said they didn't like it once, and everyone just follows the trend. The core loop here is actually one of the best in the series. Looking for Springtrap on the cameras is a genuinely good use of the mechanic. In FNAF 1 and 2, people complained that cameras were so useless, and this game fixed that by making the cameras essential. It creates a pressure because the game becomes overbearing when you have to look away from the monitors to fix your systems on the side panels. I really don't get the hate for this one. Yeah, it's a game of cat and mouse, but it's a high stakes game of cat and mouse that actually forces you to use every tool provided. It's a great office. Once again, we're looking at the VR level set in the Security Breach environment, and you know what that means? A high design rating. It's a perfect station to work at, and being able to stare out into this massive cool area you previously only saw on a flat screen is just sick. The scale of the Pizzaplex works so much better when you're actually standing in it. It's a simple loop of mixing drinks and following recipes, but it's threatening. You're forced to focus on the ingredients while something is lurking just outside your peripheral vision. And the jump scare? Holy shit, I shot my pants when I first saw that, because how was I supposed to know that? that was gonna jump scare me. It's one of the most effective scares in the game for sure. It's a great mix of the environment and a gameplay loop that keeps you on edge without it being overly complicated. Yes, hell fucking yes, I have this in the top 5. If you disagree with me, you're just fucking wrong. At this point, you've probably realized I love the security breach environments in VR, and this is just next level. The design is a 10. No question. It's not just the El Chip restaurant itself, it's the fact that you see the huge atrium in the background while you work. The scale is massive, the lighting is perfect, and it makes you feel like you're actually part of the Pizzaplex. Holy shit, the design is peak. It's essentially just being a McDonald's worker, but it's really fun. You're frantically assembling orders under pressure while animatronics are lurking around the kitchen area. It's a fast-paced, high-energy loop that never gets boring because the environment is so engaging to look at. It's the perfect combination of a great task and an even better view. I want to keep talking about this level, but holy shit, no, we gotta move on. It captures those industrial cold vibes, and while some of that might be nostalgic or how iconic it's become, it remains a perfect use of that aesthetic. Having 3 massive openings leading directly into your office is terrifying. I have a personal fear of openness in games, and this office exploits that perfectly. You never feel safe because you're truly never enclosed. This might be controversial, but I think this might have the best gameplay out of the core mainline games. The mechanics are a perfect mix. The mask was a great idea. The music box was a great idea. And making Foxy immune to the mask was a great fucking idea. The music box and Foxy are essential because they prevent you from just keeping the mask on the whole time like it's 2020 or something. Honestly, the order of the top 3 doesn't even matter at this point. This office is the definition of iconic. It is nostalgia and iconicness at its highest peak. I don't even know where to start talking about this place because it's just perfect. It's a perfect mix of the openness that FNAF 2 had while still feeling grounded. It feels like a real gritty pizzeria office. The horror vibes are unmatched. The gameplay is also perfect. Having animatronics come right to your door where you have to manually turn on the lights to see them, and that specific sound that plays when they're standing there is terrifying. Foxy being slow when you look at the camera, Foxy running to you, cam stalling Freddy. Holy shit, this is peak. It's a flawless loop of power management and spatial awareness. Technically, personally, and objectively, this is the best FNAF game. It has the perfect story, perfect designs, and perfect gameplay. But looking specifically at the office, or in this case, the bedroom, it is still amazing. It's a child's bedroom, which is just scary as shit. I almost wanted to remove a design point because of the illogical layout of having 2 doors leading to 2 different hallways on 2 different sides of the bedroom. But I stopped myself. The mechanic of physically going up to the door and listening, putting your ear on your monitor, is incredible. It forces you to rely on your actual senses in a way no other game does. Then you have Foxy giving you a pump fake with that jump scare, and the Freddo's constantly coming on the bed behind you. Pause. It's terrifying. It turns your own room, the place you're supposed to feel the safest, into a nightmare. I could talk about why this works all day. It's a masterclass in the sound design and pure psychological horror, but it's not the best, because the one and only best office in the game is... We finally made it to the undisputed best office in the franchise. The design is a 10, and honestly that's an understatement. Not only is the base office visually dense and well realized, but the fact that there's 4 entirely different skins to choose from is incredible. Whether you want the classic look, the FNAF 3 rod, or the sister location tech, or the FNAF 4 bedroom, Scott provided enough variety to keep the visuals fresh. So all the compliments I gave those visuals, they all translate to this one as well. The gameplay is a 10 as well. Scott managed to cram over 50 animatronics and more into a single office, which is a superb achievement in the game design. Fitting that many distinct mechanics from the vents and the hoses to the global music box and the heater in one of the most cohesive loop should be impossible. Yet every single button and monitor in this room serves a purpose. It's the ultimate test of skill, memory, and reflexes. Everything in this office is built specifically for high-level gameplay, but it doesn't sacrifice the aesthetic to get there. It maintains that classic grimy FNAF atmosphere while acting as a functional control center for the most chaotic experience in the series. It's the definitive version of the FNAF formula, taking every mechanic we've seen over the years and perfecting them in one final, definitive space. It's the peak of the franchise. Looking back at the full list, it's clear to see how the series evolved from a simple point-and-click mechanics to the peak of spatial horror in VR. While there were certainly low points where the design felt uninspired or the gameplay felt a chore, the core of the series remained the same: the intense pressure of being trapped in a limited space and the struggle to survive. The top tier offices on this list proves exactly why this franchise became a horror icon. They serve as a benchmark for what happens when the environment design and the mechanical balance work in perfect harmony. While these rankings are subjective, analyzing the unique value and dread each office brings to the table was a necessary deep dive. And if you disagree, you're just wrong, man.